A critical immigration development is causing widespread concern among millions of lawful permanent residents across the United States and abroad. Reports circulating on social media platforms suggest that a newly implemented airport regulation could terminate green card status within minutes of arrival. Immigration attorneys and legal experts are now stepping forward to clarify the actual legal framework surrounding these claims, separating documented fact from viral speculation. The controversy centers on biometric screening procedures at American ports of entry and their potential impact on returning green card holders who have spent extended periods outside the country. Understanding the precise legal mechanisms at play has become essential for the estimated 13 million lawful permanent residents who may travel internationally. The claims generating alarm across immigrant communities suggest that Customs and Border Protection officers possess authority to instantaneously revoke permanent resident status through computerized biometric systems. These assertions have prompted thousands of concerned green card holders to seek legal guidance before undertaking planned international travel. Immigration law experts emphasize that the actual legal framework differs substantially from these viral characterizations. While significant developments have occurred in entry screening procedures, the fundamental due process protections afforded to lawful permanent residents remain intact under current immigration statutes. The foundational principle that every green card holder must understand involves the core definition of lawful permanent residence. This immigration status carries an inherent obligation that the United States serves as the individual's primary and permanent home. The green card functions not merely as a travel document, but as tangible evidence of an ongoing commitment to reside permanently within American borders. This distinction carries profound legal significance. When permanent residents depart the United States for extended durations, immigration authorities possess statutory authority to examine whether the fundamental residency requirement continues to be satisfied. Prolonged absences, particularly those exceeding 6 months, can trigger legitimate governmental inquiry into potential abandonment of status. The technological advancement at the center of current discussions involves the systematic expansion of biometric entry and exit tracking capabilities at American airports and border crossings. Customs and Border Protection has progressively deployed facial recognition technology and enhanced digital identification systems across major international arrival points. Under these protocols, arriving travelers, including lawful permanent residents, undergo mandatory biometric capture. Facial images are recorded and compared against governmental databases to verify identity with unprecedented accuracy. This requirement applies universally to non-citizens, and declining participation can result in extended processing delays and referral for additional inspection. However, immigration law specialists stress a crucial distinction. These biometric systems do not possess autonomous authority to adjudicate abandonment determinations or terminate permanent resident status. No algorithmic process exists that automatically cancels green cards based on recorded absence duration. What these systems accomplish is the creation of comprehensive and precise travel documentation. Every departure and arrival is time-stamped and permanently recorded. Immigration officers conducting inspections can instantly access complete travel histories showing exact durations spent outside American territory. This technological capability represents the substantive change that has practical implications for returning green card holders. Historical reliance on passport entry stamps, which could be incomplete or ambiguous, has been supplanted by definitive digital records that eliminate uncertainty regarding time spent abroad. The scrutiny intensifies when biometric records reveal absences exceeding 6 months. Officers are trained to initiate questioning protocols when such patterns emerge. Absences approaching or exceeding 12 months without previously obtained re-entry permits elevate concerns to substantially more serious levels. Yet even under these circumstances, the legal standard for status termination cannot be satisfied through summary airport action alone. The claim that green cards face cancellation within 10 minutes mischaracterizes the procedural requirements embedded in immigration law. The confusion stems from the accelerated nature of airport inspection encounters. When officers identify concerning travel patterns, referral to secondary inspection typically follows. Within secondary inspection environments, officers conduct detailed examinations of travel history, supporting documentation, and verbal statements provided by the returning resident. Questioning in these settings often addresses fundamental residency indicators. Officers may inquire about current residential arrangements, employment status, family member locations, tax filing history, property ownership, banking relationships, and the specific circumstances necessitating extended absence. The critical vulnerability during these encounters involves statements that may suggest permanent relocation abroad or intention to maintain indefinite residence outside the United States. Immigration law places substantial weight on demonstrated intent. Verbal admissions suggesting abandonment of American residency can constitute powerful evidence supporting adverse determinations. Nevertheless, the legal protections afforded to lawful permanent residents impose meaningful constraints on governmental authority at ports of entry. Customs and Border Protection officers lack unilateral power to permanently revoke green card status through summary administrative action during airport inspections. Two primary mechanisms exist through which permanent resident status can effectively terminate at the border. Understanding these pathways is essential for travelers seeking to protect their immigration standing. The first mechanism involves voluntary relinquishment through execution of Form Y-407, officially designated as the Record of Abandonment of Lawful Permanent Resident Status. When travelers sign this document, they formally surrender their permanent resident status through their own affirmative action. Immigration advocates report concerning patterns of travelers signing this form under circumstances involving confusion, perceived coercion, or misleading suggestions that compliance will simplify their situation. Once executed, reversing this voluntary abandonment presents extraordinary legal difficulties. The second mechanism involves governmental initiation of formal removal proceedings before an immigration judge. Under this pathway, the abandonment determination receives adjudication through immigration court proceedings where the permanent resident retains the right to present evidence and contest the allegations. This judicial framework represents a fundamental distinction from the instant cancellation narrative circulating online. Administrative termination of permanent resident status without consent requires formal proceedings with accompanying due process protections. The 6-month threshold frequently cited in discussions requires nuanced understanding. No statutory provision establishes that absences exceeding 6 months automatically terminate permanent resident status. However, such absences can create rebuttable presumptions that continuous residence may have been interrupted. For naturalization purposes, this presumption carries significant implications for citizenship eligibility timelines. For residency maintenance purposes, extended absences trigger heightened scrutiny without constituting automatic grounds for termination. Absences exceeding 12 months without valid re-entry permits create more substantial legal complications. Under these circumstances, the green card technically loses validity for admission purposes. Returning residents may require obtaining a returning resident visa from an American consular post abroad before attempting re-entry. Even in these situations, abandonment determinations depend on totality of circumstances analysis rather than mechanical application of durational thresholds. Immigration authorities must evaluate the complete factual picture surrounding the absence. This totality assessment encompasses numerous factors. Maintenance of American residential property or rental arrangements demonstrates continued domestic ties. Ongoing employment relationships with American employers support residency claims. Filing federal tax returns as a resident throughout the absence period provides documentary evidence of maintained status. Family circumstances receive significant consideration. Spouses and children remaining in the United States while the green card holder travels suggest temporary absence rather than permanent relocation. Retention of American driver's licenses, active domestic banking relationships, and continued health insurance coverage all contribute to the evidentiary picture. Temporary circumstances necessitating extended absence can substantially support residency maintenance claims. Caring for seriously ill family members abroad, completing time-limited professional assignments, or addressing unavoidable personal emergencies represent legitimate temporary purposes distinguishable from permanent relocation. Conversely, certain factors can severely undermine residency claims. Tax filings indicating non-resident alien status suggest abandonment of American tax residency obligations. Sale of American property without acquisition of replacement housing indicates diminished domestic ties. Permanent school enrollment for children in foreign educational institutions suggests relocation of family life abroad. Statements to immigration officers expressing intention to remain outside the United States indefinitely or characterizing foreign residents as permanent can constitute damaging admissions. The legal weight assigned to such statements underscores the importance of careful communication during inspection encounters. Documentation compiled during secondary inspection becomes part of permanent governmental records. Officers record statements, observations, and conclusions in inspection notes that may be referenced in subsequent proceedings. This reality emphasizes the importance of providing truthful responses while avoiding unnecessary elaboration. When questioned about extended absences, factual responses emphasizing temporary purpose and maintained intention to return to permanent American residence serve legal interests appropriately. Fabrication or misrepresentation carries consequences far exceeding those associated with abandonment findings, potentially including permanent inadmissibility. Travelers facing secondary inspection should understand their rights within this unique legal environment. Declining to sign Form I-407 constitutes a protected exercise of legal rights. Requesting that abandonment allegations be adjudicated through immigration court proceedings preserves access to formal due process protections. However, the airport inspection context imposes practical limitations. Rights to attorney presence during primary inspection face significant restrictions. While travelers may request to contact legal counsel, officers possess discretion regarding processing delays for such purposes. This procedural reality underscores the paramount importance of preparation before international travel commences. Consultation with qualified immigration attorneys before extended foreign travel allows for proper planning and documentation strategies. Travelers anticipating absences approaching or exceeding 6 months should seek legal guidance regarding their specific circumstances. Those expecting to remain abroad for periods approaching 12 months or longer should strongly consider applying for re-entry permits before departure. Re-entry permits serve as affirmative documentation that the applicant anticipated temporary absence and intended to return to permanent American residence. While these permits do not guarantee admission upon return, they substantially strengthen the legal position of returning permanent residents. Maintaining comprehensive tax compliance as a resident throughout green card holder status remains essential. Filing returns as a non-resident alien while holding permanent resident status creates documentary evidence potentially supporting abandonment allegations. Continued resident tax filing demonstrates acknowledgement of ongoing residency obligations. Preservation of American address records, active financial accounts, valid state identification documents, and employment relationships, where applicable, all contribute to the evidentiary foundation supporting residency maintenance claims. The biometric systems themselves represent tools for identity verification and travel documentation rather than adjudicatory mechanisms. Their impact stems from providing officers with instantaneous access to precise travel history data that previously might have remained incomplete or ambiguous. This technological transparency has eliminated reliance on potentially inconsistent passport stamp records. Digital precision regarding absence duration means that returning permanent residents cannot benefit from documentary uncertainty regarding their travel patterns. Senior permanent residents frequently undertake extended international travel to fulfill family caregiving obligations or reconnect with relatives abroad. These travelers must remain particularly attentive to residency maintenance requirements despite legitimate purposes for extended absence. Maintaining documentary evidence of continued American ties becomes essential for these travelers. Preservation of property records, tax filings, insurance documentation, and other evidence demonstrating ongoing American residence supports their legal position upon return. Naturalization applicants face additional considerations regarding extended absences. Periods outside the United States exceeding 6 months but remaining under 12 months create rebuttable presumptions that continuous residence was interrupted. Absences exceeding 12 months typically break continuous residence with limited statutory exceptions. These naturalization implications affect citizenship eligibility timelines without automatically terminating underlying permanent resident status. Understanding this distinction prevents confusion between naturalization requirements and residency maintenance obligations. The fundamental legal framework requires human adjudication of abandonment determinations based on evidence and circumstances. No automated system possesses authority to terminate permanent resident status through algorithmic processing. Officers must reach conclusions supported by factual evidence and applicable legal standards. Contested determinations proceed to immigration court where judges independently evaluate whether abandonment occurred. This judicial review provides meaningful opportunity to present evidence and arguments supporting maintained residency. The 10-minute characterization captures a genuine concern despite its legal imprecision. Statements made during brief inspection encounters can substantially influence governmental positions regarding residency status. What permanent residents communicate during these interactions may shape the evidentiary foundation for subsequent proceedings. Calm, truthful responses affirming temporary absence purpose and continued American residency intention serve travelers well during these encounters. Panic-driven statements suggesting permanent foreign relocation can create problems that subsequent legal proceedings may struggle to overcome. Informed preparation enables confident responses during inspection encounters. Understanding the legal framework governing residency maintenance, knowing one's rights during inspection procedures, and maintaining proper documentation collectively reduce vulnerability to adverse outcomes. Travelers planning international departures should carefully evaluate their absence duration relative to established thresholds. Maintaining accessible documentation of American ties throughout travel periods provides resources for responding to potential questioning upon return. Lawful permanent resident status represents a valuable immigration benefit carrying corresponding obligations. The governmental expectation that permanent residents actually reside permanently in the United States reflects the fundamental meaning of this status category. When life circumstances shift residents abroad permanently, immigration law treats that transition as abandonment, regardless of technical green card validity. However, temporary absences with properly documented American ties and maintained residency intention do not automatically trigger status termination. Factual understanding of applicable legal standards provides protection against fear-driven narratives that distort actual immigration enforcement practices. The legal framework governing permanent resident status involves established procedures and due process protections that constrain governmental authority. Maintaining awareness of these standards, preserving documentary evidence of American residency ties, and approaching inspection encounters with informed confidence enables lawful permanent residents to exercise their travel privileges while protecting their valuable immigration status.